Your name?
My name is India Morris Nicholson Edwards. I was born in New York City in Sloan's Memorial Hospital, October 10th, 1918, to the parents of Harriet and Edgar Nicholson. I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey. I went to live with my mother's godmother from the age of 5 to 11. And those were they were the happiest years of my life because I was free in that I never knew any prejudice. I went to a school with, I would imagine, about 4 blacks. And we lived in a small community where people went to church on Sunday, had dinner at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything was subdued on Sunday because you had to act like a lady. You did not play as you did during the week. You sat on the porch. And at the time, I remember I wore my patent leather shoes, and I had one of those wide hats with the sash that hung down the back. And I remember on Sundays we would walk to Cadwallader Park. And one day, while I was at Cadwallader Park, we stopped by the Delaware River, and I decided, as my friends did, to wade in the water. So, in order to keep my white dress clean, I took my white dress off, and I had my little white petticoat on, took my patent leather shoes, of course, and white socks, and started playing around in the water, not realizing that the hat, which had a huge brim, long black ribbon, was floating in the water ahead of me. To my dismay, I had to go after this hat. So I started walking toward the water. Of course, the ripples were pushing the hat out further and further. And at the end of the water were lots of rocks and so forth. So I did not reach any deep area, but anyway, there was a bridge not too far away, and a gentleman was standing on the bridge watching this hat floating away and me walking deeper and deeper into the water. So he threw a branch over in front of me, and the ripples came back, and my hat came back toward me. I picked up my hat, put my dress on, shoes and socks on, and went home. Of course, I was a little muddy, shoes were muddy, but not realizing that this straw hat, Panama straw, the center of it had moved up like a stovepipe. And I went into the house, and my Aunt Daisy looked at me, and she said, "India, where have you been?" I said, "I was in Cadwallader Park, and I was playing." And she said, "What happened to your hat?" And when I took it off and realized that I looked like somebody out of a storybook, she came into the kitchen and said, "Okay, your dinner's in the stove." But I did get a whipping that night. I did get a whipping. Switches, they used in those days, around the lower part of my legs. But around, I think at 10 o'clock, she came upstairs with a dish of ice cream for me, which meant, okay, everything's over. But don't ever do that again. Of course, I did not realize the danger of, walking out. But that was one of my episodes. What was a tomboy?
In the same building I just got fired from. So no, to say that you've been fired again.
No, didn't expect any of them. They just came along. This was an incident. When I went into the labor room, this lady who was in labor beside me started cussing, laying her husband out because, like, look what you've done to me. Oh, that's lambasted him so, and I was shocked because I didn't know people did this. I don't care how you're hurting, you're part and parcel of this yourself. And she just went on so. But I do remember that she had red hair. I'm working so many years later, I'm director of social service in Christ Hospital. No, I have the wrong daughter. That was India.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I have to tell this story. And so this gentleman came in, he was placing his mother in a nursing home. And he said he had 2 or 3 daughters. And I said, I have, daughters too. I have a daughter who was born on leap year. And he said, my daughter was born on leap year too. I said, well, maybe your wife and I were in the labor room together. And he said, I said, I was in the labor room about such and such a time. He said, my wife was in there about the same time. And I said, did your wife have red hair? He said, yes, she did. I said, I saw your wife, but I didn't let on how she was cussing him out.
Do you think he knew?
Well, he knew because Indy was born at a certain time, and his son or daughter was born he had a daughter almost an hour or so later. But I knew.
He had to know that.
I knew who she was, but I certainly didn't tell him what went on in there. I didn't know that but I have heard that people do that, cuss their poor husbands out. Oh, dear. But going back to Sandra was a lovely baby. And her godparents were people from Bermuda. Was it Bermuda? Oh, dear.
Okay, let's take a quick break.